Love it. Love it. Time management.
Mhm.
Do you use a schedule? Do you schedule out
Yeah.
everything? Like just everything?
Everything, man. Same concept of keeping certain things on and off the schedule. There are times and pockets where I have like free time and I'll figure what I want to do, and I might do some more work then. But typically, what I have is a schedule. The prop is it's sort of for productivity plan. Like that's it. It's a way for me to be productive. It's a schedule. So I have every quarter is in a little flip binder. I actually have one. I believe I have one. Oh, I do right here. Hold on. In my garage. So I use this thing right here. It's called a prop. And legitimately what it does is it allows me to structure out my entire day. I don't know if you can see it, but like what I do is I look at the projects I want to do for the 12 weeks coming up this quarter. And then I have the breakdown of each product, like actual, project I have. And I break it down by time, by where it's entered into my day and my life. And then I have these schedule pieces.
Oh,
and
wow.
These become my entire life. So every month has 4, obviously. And then every quarter I stop and take a break and take a look at where I've got, what I've got done. And then I keep on rolling. So every day, it looks like this. And I break things down for literally what I'm eating, when I'm sleeping. And there's 6 different levels of how I enter things in. Yeah. I break in, then I'll find like if I break down, here's my eating, sleeping, family, sports, hobbies, whatever it is. At the end of that, I have a bunch of white spaces. And I get a highlighter, which is sitting right here. And I highlight the open space I have to do work. And what I've done before that is I've taken every project and I've broken it down by steps. So if you're like, hey, I want to start a podcast, well, I got to find a podcast software. I got to order a microphone. I got to schedule some guests. I got to put together a funnel for invites, whatever you choose to do. You got to take time to do that. You can't just say, okay, I'm gonna make a podcast today and sit down for an hour. Right? It doesn't work that way. So we usually hop in before we actually break down. So we don't actually plan what we're going to do. We just start doing something and hope we'll figure it out. So for me, it's like sit down and chunk everything down to where here are the 15 steps I got to get completed to get this done. Cool. Let me go ahead and see what my life looks like. I find that I've got these 3 projects. I've got 15 hours this week. I got an hour in the morning here, 3 at night here. Tomorrow I have none, but Thursday I got, 4 here. So whatever it is, you have a bunch of white spaces and you highlight those and say, okay, cool. I'm going to take step 1 of Project Podcast. I'm going to put it here on Monday. Step 2, I'm going to do later on Monday, but then I'm going to switch it over and do, I'm going to build a website. I'm going to do some website design at this point, and then maybe I'm going to start calling guests and sending messages at this point on Wednesday, whatever it is. But you structure those little hours in there. And now what happens when the hour shows up and it's like, hey, I'm going to send messages to people for getting the podcast. That's what you do for an hour. And you focus on nothing else. And now you're in on that project. And so
schedule, whatever you have scheduled.
And then you actually structure in release valve. So I don't fill up every single moment. Like there's areas on Wednesday evening where it's like a catch-up day. So I have like a couple hours I put in. If anything didn't get done, I got 2 hours to go in and knock it out because life does happen. And then I have time where I put in family time. Like we're like, hey, I'm just not going to do anything. I'm going to literally cross this box up and just say family. And I do nothing then. But the thing is, if I do that and I do that first, now I step in and see what I have to get done. When I put that stuff in, there's more of an importance to finish it in that time frame so I can stay to my plan and be focused during family time because that's my yes. Right? So a lot of us, we just say, I got to get this thing done. I got to get this thing done. And then when it comes a moment to do it, we put on a Netflix TV show because we don't want to do it, right? We don't fight that monster that has to get something done. And then we wake up the next day and it still has to get done. We're behind schedule. Now we're more stressed. We got something else to do. I want my kids, but I'm thinking about this. Like it falls apart. You've got to start understanding like you have to plan what you want to get done. And it's not that hard once you get a habit of doing it. And then just in that time frame, pop some headphones in, man, disappear, create like a space. I have like a space in my garage you're in right now. It's just my area. And when I go here, it's my workspace.
Everything are in your garage.
It's it's my space. Nobody's in here. So when I get in here, it's a workspace. I'm not in here playing video games and kicking back and watching Netflix, right? So when I'm here, this is my physical space to get things done so that I can leave it here, go in and have fun with my kids. And that's how I operate my life.
Nice. Where can we get one of those schedules?
Oh man, it's in my programs. It's actually something I get to my clients. I'll find a way. You send me a link and we'll communicate to get you there because it's just a PDF file. I could probably send you the PDF file. Typically, I have a program, one called the Fast Entrepreneur and one I'm starting called the Academy. So I found that a lot of the clients I work with, I do a lot of business coaching, and the biggest thing I run into is not so much their ability to execute, but the person. Like they struggle with the person. And so I'm running something called the Academy, which would be like a thing where I break down, like I just talked about, the be more, do more, and have more, exactly how to do those things. This falls into how to do more process. So that's where I kind of infuse these tools is into my coaching programs where I help people kind of get past those little weird headaches.
Nice. I just last night I signed up for your 15-minute
Fast as a blueprint.
yeah, the blueprint.
Yeah. Yep.
Received that and everything. So yeah,
Nice.
I'm curious. I skimmed through it last night and it looks like it had a lot of great content. So I guess there's a webinar that you're.
Yeah, so I do webinars on Thursdays. This Thursday, I'm going to Colorado because I do a camp for my agent every year out in Colorado, Spring Club Pro Football Camp.
Okay.
But the next Thursday I do it. It's pretty much it's not a thing where I want to throw like thousands of bodies into it. But my whole thing is I want to teach people the baseline structure of how to get a business running. It doesn't have to be so crazy hard. There's 7 specific things you do, and it sounds like a lot, but they all make sense. They go in a consecutive order. But even your podcast, like how to monetize that. A lot of people, and you see, there's a ton of information out there. Dude, there's too much information out there. So what I do, yeah, man. So what I do is I no longer teach information. I teach exact steps to follow. Like, hey, here's the things you could do, but here's exactly what you're going to do. Do this, post this, copy and paste this, send this here, load this. So it's like, it's a follow along execution piece. And then now it works. And then later on, all the information that you've read or books you've read, when you start seeing the bigger picture, it's like, oh, maybe I can switch this and tweak this and adjust this for myself because the information you have now has a foundation to play into.
Got it. Sweet. Speaking of books, do you recommend any must reads to people?
Yeah, you got to read a book. It's called Trust Russell Part 1, A Life Forged by Fire by Anthony Trucks. It's a good book.
I love it.
Yeah, that's one. I got it sit right here next to me. That's my book. Outside of that, man, it depends on the person I talk to and what books I recommend. If a person is struggling with life and they're not a person of faith, one person that I like their book is Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Okay. Yep.
It's a basic intro book. You have it right there?
Oh,
you had water.
Just water.
Yeah, it's a good book. I think it teaches people to understand how they think, how they operate, how to interact with folks. It's a very good baseline book. And then there's a book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor A. Frankl. And it's a really good book. It's about a guy that was in the Holocaust and his perspective on a couple of different things. But he's like a guy that goes over something called logotherapy and how we have these meanings placed on moments. And when you can place a different meaning on a moment, it changes everything because no moment has any meaning but the meaning we place upon it, right? So if you can shift those. Then if you're a person in business, you're trying to figure out how to do the business stuff. If you want to do the online world, look up something called .com Secrets by Mr. Russell Brunson. Solid book. He has a new book out. There's another one. I can't think of what it is. He just came out with it, but it's really good at understanding marketing and basic mental principles. Right. So if you're trying to say, I want to market stuff, it's a phenomenal book that it's broken down so that anybody can understand it. But with everything you do in the business.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What's that?
I was going to say, do you use ClickFunnels?
I use Kajabi, New Kajabi. Okay. So Brendan, you know Brendan Burchard is? Ever heard that name before?
Heard of it.
He's a guy in this space that does a lot of like coaching, and he does something called Experts Academy. But his company, not his company, one he invested in, it's very similar to ClickFunnels. It's called New Kajabi. It does the same thing, but I think it's better designed for people who are doing information marketing or information sales. ClickFunnels is a great tool. Don't get me wrong, but Kajabi, it's cool because they develop a lot, they build a lot, and it's very, very integrated into one system. So everything from your emails to your landing pages to your follow-ups, they integrate with a whole bunch of systems for scheduling and sales and put your membership, everything in there. It's crazy how much they got inside of it.
I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah, man, check it out. New Kajabi, newkajabi.com.
Kajabi.com. Okay. What else was I going to ask you? And we can wrap up here. Trust me, you're probably like, this guy keeps asking me questions.
I got church in 55 minutes. We're heading down there, so we're good.
Okay, let's real quick. Actually, this was one of my questions for those of you, because I have friends who are not, they don't believe in anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have friends who believe in something. So I was raised Catholic.
Okay.
I go to church, not consistently. I definitely need to go more consistently, but I go, I believe there was a man named Jesus and God and everything like that. But again, my faith could improve. I'm I struggle at times, and I'm like, wait a second, it's probably because I don't have enough faith. Could you just touch on that real quick? Like, how do you expand your faith? Like, do you get into more small group church groups? Or if you don't want anything to do with church, how do you, besides reading 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, how do you believe, or how do you?
Yeah. Well, belief's a funny thing, because it's let's take a concept of love, like, right? So love is this weird thing. It's an emotion. An emotion happens not because we think about it, but the actions we take place. So I have 3 kids, and all those kids, when they come out of their mom, are crazy, screaming, pooping, eating machines, right? And the actions they do not make you love them, right? It's the investment that you make. So whatever efforts you give in creates the emotion of love. And so faith has similar aspects of feeling. Like, I have faith. I have a belief. I feel these things, right? And so in doing so, it's the investment you make into it. You're never going to get anything out. You're in a financial space. You don't get money out of a non-investment, right? So the same thing has to happen. I'm not saying that I don't think it's wrong to not have any faith base. Like, I'm a man of God, and I believe that there's a sense of where I believe that drives me, right? And there's a certain discipleship I have in ways I do that. I don't always do it in my business. It's a different path I've chose to take with that, and how I kind of introduce people to it. But what I do realize is if we're going to look at faith or religion in any way, for the majority of them, if you just follow principles, even if there was no God, at least you're doing right by the world, man. Like, you're doing right by those around you. That's how I perceive it. It's kind of how I operate in that space. But if you're looking for someone, it's like, yeah, I want to come closer to my faith, just invest. And you don't have to join a small group at first if you don't want to. You don't got to join a group at first. Just pick up a Bible or a book, whatever the good book is for you, and read it. Because now you're investing time. And we have, as human beings, typical investment bias, right? I can't quit this job. I've been here too long, right? I can't try something new. I've got too many years into this. I've played football for 13 years. I can't just stop this, right? We have this investment bias because we put time in. So if you want to develop that, just even if it's just 10, 15 minutes, open a book up and read, like, do that. Or step into a church on a Sunday. Like, that's all it is. Like, you find a church that fits you. That's one thing too, is take time to try them out. You don't have to walk into the first one and say, this is my one, and deal with it. Like, you got to sometimes find the one that embraces you, feel right. Like, it feels good, because like anything else, if you hate the kind of workout you're doing, you're not going to keep working out. You're not going to get the result. Sure. Right. If you hate running, don't buy running shoes. Like, there's no reason, don't invest in that. Right? So
no, it's good.
Yeah. In that aspect, find something you like, some place you like, and go.
Love it. Love it. So you said you have a quote here on your, I believe it's on your website. The last person you want to meet on your deathbed is the person you could have been.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Thank you.
Explain. I mean, I know what it means, but could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, the statement is the last person I ever want to meet on my deathbed is the person I could have been. Yep. I actually did a podcast for the Spartan race. Joe DeCina, the creator of Spartan, me and him met up in San Francisco and did a whole little thing. And that was one of the things that he had brought up. And I was like, I think at the end of the day, we're supposed to do a lot on this planet. And we know it. Like, you have this inkling. You're supposed to do more. And I think the people who are supposed to, they know it's an itch you can't scratch. It floats in your head. And what happens is we choose to go 2 paths. One path is the one of least resistance. It's the one that says, I'm supposed to do this. It'd be cool to do that. But you know what? I'm just going to do this because it's easier. I'll navigate this, get this done. And then if you ask any people that are older, like people who are like on their deathbed, you ask those people, the majority of them will tell you they wish they would have taken more risk, more adventure. They wish they would have tried more things. And so I'm like, dude, like, I never want to be there. So that person that when I'm on my deathbed, I never want to meet the person that, if I had somebody that looked like me that walked in the door and they have